Two people can start their 20s making the same salary, living in the same city, and looking equally successful from the outside. One spends heavily on status, convenience, and short-term comfort. The other makes a handful of purchases that don't look impressive at all in the moment. 10 or 20 years later, the difference is not subtle. One person has a collection of depreciating things. The other has lower fixed costs, better health, stronger earning power, and assets that kept working long after the excitement wore off. That gap is the real story behind smart spending in your 20s. Not buy less, not be frugal. The deeper issue is that money spent early in life can either disappear immediately, or it can change the entire shape of your future. In your 20s, you are not just buying objects, you are buying trajectory. And a surprising number of the most valuable purchases are the ones that protect your time, preserve your health, raise your skills, or quietly reduce your future expenses for decades. The first thing smart people buy in their 20s is a high-quality bed. Not a luxury bed for the sake of indulgence, but a sleep setup that actually supports recovery. This sounds almost too ordinary to matter, which is exactly why so many people underestimate it. Sleep is one of the few inputs that affects almost everything else. Attention, decision-making, mood regulation, exercise consistency, and even appetite. Research consistently shows that insufficient sleep impairs cognitive performance and increases the likelihood of errors, accidents, and poor judgment. In financial terms, bad sleep is not just fatigue. It is reduced output and weaker decision quality during the years when your income potential is still compounding. The hidden cost here is that people often think they are saving money by tolerating an uncomfortable mattress, cheap pillows, or poor bedding. But if a better sleep system improves concentration, reduces back pain, and makes you more functional every day, the return is enormous. A mattress may be expensive once. Chronic exhaustion is expensive every month for years. Smart buyers understand that when a purchase influences the quality of 8,000 hours over the next decade, the economics change completely. The second purchase is a reliable car, or sometimes no car at all if the city makes that possible. The key is not to signal success with the vehicle. The key is to minimize transportation as a source of stress, repairs, and financial leakage. A new car can be a terrible investment because the first few years contain some of the steepest depreciation in consumer spending. But a dependable used car with low maintenance costs can be a strategic asset, especially in your 20s when your career is less stable and a single repair bill can throw off an entire month. The deeper lesson is about optionality. Transportation is not just about getting from point A to point B. It is about preserving access to work, interviews, family, side projects, and emergencies. A car that repeatedly fails does not just cost money. It introduces friction into everything around you. The smartest people do not ask, what looks best? They ask, what keeps my life moving with the least hidden cost? That distinction matters because reliability creates freedom, and freedom is what most people are actually trying to buy when they think they want a nicer car. The third thing worth buying early is health infrastructure. Shoes that fit well, a gym membership you will actually use, perhaps a bicycle, walking equipment, or even physical therapy when needed. People tend to treat health spending as optional until the body forces the issue. But in your 20s, the payoff is unusually asymmetric. A habit of strength training, mobility work, or basic cardiovascular fitness is not just about looking better now. It lowers the odds of expensive problems later, and it preserves your ability to work, travel, and enjoy life without constant physical limitations. There is also a hidden behavioral effect. When exercise becomes convenient, it becomes repeatable. A good pair of running shoes or a nearby gym is not glamorous, but convenience matters because behavior is often driven less by discipline than by environment. People imagine health as a moral issue. In reality, it is often an infrastructure issue. If your environment makes the healthy choice easy, you are more likely to stay consistent. And consistency in your 20s can produce decades of savings in medical costs, productivity losses, and avoidable pain. A purchase that improves the probability of exercising 3 times a week for 10 years is far more valuable than a purchase that looks impressive for one weekend. The fourth purchase is education, but not the generic kind people associate with tuition bills alone. Smart people in their 20s buy highly targeted skill building. Certifications, software proficiency, writing ability, data skills, sales training, trade tools, or niche expertise that the market rewards. This is where the compounding gets especially powerful, because skills are one of the few assets that can increase your income without requiring proportionate increases in time. Economists have long noted that human capital matters enormously for lifetime earnings. And the advantage of a skill purchased early is that it has more years to produce returns. A coding course, design software, language fluency, or a high-value professional certification may seem expensive in the moment, but the true comparison is not against zero. It is against the paycheck differential it can unlock over the next 15 or 20 years. The hidden assumption many young people make is that education only counts if it is formal and expensive. In practice, the market pays for usefulness, not prestige. A small investment in a skill that makes you measurably better at a valuable task can outperform years of passive spending on low-return lifestyle upgrades. This is why smart buyers think in terms of earning power, not just expense. They ask whether a purchase increases their future bargaining position. If a skill helps you command a higher salary, negotiate better, freelance, consult, or move into a more resilient field, then the return is not abstract. It is arithmetic. A few $1,000s spent well in your 20s can alter the entire income base on which the next several decades are built. The fifth thing smart people buy is insurance and legal protection. Even though these purchases feel unexciting and to many young adults unnecessary. Health insurance, renter's insurance, disability insurance in the right circumstances, and a basic estate plan are not expressions of pessimism. They are defenses against ruin. Most people dramatically underestimate tail risk, the possibility of a rare event causing outsized damage. One accident, one apartment fire, one injury, one lawsuit, one prolonged illness. These are low-probability events that can become financially catastrophic if you are uninsured or underprepared. What makes this category especially important in your 20s is that younger people often have the least margin for error. A single unexpected setback can force debt, disrupt work, or delay key life choices. Insurance is frequently criticized because it feels like paying for something you hope never to use. But that framing misses the purpose. You are not buying expected value in a narrow spreadsheet sense. You are buying stability. You are buying the ability to recover from shocks without having your financial life erased. That kind of protection may never produce a dramatic story, which is precisely why it is so valuable. The sixth purchase is tools that compress time. A good laptop, noise-canceling headphones, a dependable phone, cloud storage, a better desk setup, a fast internet connection, or software that automates repetitive work can pay off faster than people assume. The reason is simple. Time itself has a financial value, especially when your earning power is growing. If a tool saves you 5 minutes a day, that seems trivial. Over a year, it is dozens of hours. Over 10 years, it becomes a meaningful share of your life. But there is a second layer here. Good tools reduce friction, and reduced friction increases follow-through. A chaotic workspace makes deep work harder. Slow technology interrupts momentum. Small inefficiencies compound into missed opportunities because the brain resists repeated inconvenience. Smart buyers understand that productivity is not only about talent or motivation. It is about removing drag. A purchase that improves the quality and speed of your work environment can pay for itself many times over, not just in hours saved, but in better work produced under better conditions. The seventh thing smart people buy in their 20s is not a product at all in the usual sense. It is flexibility. That might mean building an emergency fund, keeping a modest financial cushion, choosing housing that leaves room in the budget, or paying extra to avoid locking yourself into a fragile lifestyle. This is one of the least understood purchases because it looks, from the outside, like restraint. In reality, it is an asset. Flexibility has value because your 20s are not a stable period. Careers pivot, relationships change, cities lose their appeal, interests evolve. When all of your money is tied up in fixed commitments, your options narrow exactly when experimentation should be easiest. But when you keep enough liquidity to leave a bad job, move for a better opportunity, take a calculated risk, or survive a rough month without panic, you buy something rare, time to think clearly. That time can be worth more than the returns from chasing every available upgrade. This is where the conventional wisdom about money in your 20s falls apart. People are told to avoid wasting money on things they do not need, which is true, but incomplete. The more important question is what kind of life structure a purchase creates. Some purchases shrink your future by creating recurring costs, friction, or debt. Others expand it by preserving health, improving skill, reducing risk, or increasing freedom. The difference is not measured by price tags. It is measured by downstream consequences. That is why the smartest purchases in your 20s often look underwhelming. A quality mattress does not impress people. Insurance is invisible. A better chair, a certification, a used car, a pair of shoes that prevent injury, or a cash cushion in a savings account will never generate the social buzz of a new watch or a bigger apartment. But over time, these choices shape the person you become and the life you are able to sustain. The real hidden truth is that your 20s are less about maximizing enjoyment and more about setting up the next 30 years to be easier, healthier, and more flexible. Money spent wisely at this stage can buy compound interest in the broadest sense. Better sleep, better work, better health, better decisions, and fewer financial traps. That is a much more powerful return than looking successful for a season. So the question is not whether you can afford these things. It is whether you can afford the long-term cost of not buying them. In many cases, the smartest purchases are not the ones that make your life louder. They are the ones that quietly make the rest of your life more durable.